Welcome to Tables,
Lists,
and microphones. Welcome to TLC.
Oh, right.
Yeah, because of the topic that we're doing today. Welcome to TLC. If it's your first time here, here's how the show works. Each of us will come up with a top 10 list of a certain wrestling category, and we're going to go through and reveal our picks at the same time. Each of our picks is assigned a point value. Our number 10 pick is worth 1 point, number 9 pick is worth 2 points, etc., all the way up to number 1. And we're going to total up our points, and at the end, we're going to reveal the definitive top 3 answers for this wrestling category. And today, I'm joined by Tempest.
hello.
I'm joined by Luke.
Hello there.
And today we're going through the 10 best talkers in wrestling history. Talkers. We've done best promos before, which is like an individual promo, an individual segment.
He's done it all with no mistakes. Number 1.
I win. I'm the best talker. But this is overall promo ability. And the parameters of best talker is a little bit loose because it's kind of up to interpretation. What do you consider a good talker? Is it someone with a lot of range? You know, are they a good babyface and heel promo? Is it the ability to sell a match? Is it just their cadence and how they talk? How engaging they are? It's up to interpretation. So it should be a fun one, I think. 3, 2, 1. Check the snack.
Check the snack.
Jack the Snack Roberts.
Very good. I've got MJF at number 10 on my list. And I think that we might... I'm not going to presume what your picks are, but we might be seeing MJF on this, I'd assume, later on a little bit higher. The only reason MJF isn't higher on my list is because he's still got time left. Like, he's cut some of, like, the all-time great promos already, but he's super young. And I think that there's still time for him to either be better or be worse. But I think probably be better.
Yeah.
And I think as time goes on, he's probably going to go higher and higher up this list. But I think the people who are higher on my list have had a more complete career set over a longer time period than MJF. But still, an incredible promo nonetheless.
I've gone for Jack the Snack Roberts.
Uh-huh.
A real methodical promo, a very thoughtful promo, and somebody that still gets a lot of people compared to nowadays when you cut a promo with lots of feeling, but you don't need to raise your voice. Mm-hmm. You know, the idea of getting your points across and still being very menacing while just speaking above a whisper. And seeing him, one of my favorite promos the last, few years, I guess it was a few years ago now, but his promo when he showed up on Dynamite and cut that promo on Cody Rhodes and said you never ever turn your back on somebody that you respect or someone you're afraid of, and then immediately turns his back and throws the microphone, and just commanding this audience that went, oh, with body language and everything. He is one of the great all-time talkers, and if things had been different and possibly work in a different era, I think he could have been like the top heel, number 1, long-time world champion type guy, but given the era that he worked in, that was never quite his role, but he certainly had the talent for it.
Car. I had to get Raven on this list.
Obviously.
I'm surprised he's this low.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so Raven is, he's my favorite wrestler ever. He's one of my favorite promos ever. But like in terms of like best talkers, I think there are people, and I think he would probably say this as well, that are better talkers than he is. But he's a good orator. Mm-hmm. He's a very good storyteller. What I really like about his ECW promos in particular, which is when he was, I think, at his best, is that he just had a camera on him and it was just, here's a story. Let me tell you a story, and he's like, it's captivating. You get drawn in with each side, like different word that he's got, and he got a little bit of that in WCW as well, but just didn't really get the chance to really show that off in WWF.
3, 2, 1.
Ooh,
so close.
Close.
Yeah.
Dancing around each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I am a big fan of MJF's mic work. I think his highs have been some of the highest that we have seen the promo medium in like the last 15 years or so, because there was a real time when promo ability was a real hard thing to come by on wrestling television, and that's not necessarily the fault of the wrestlers themselves. It was, here's a terrible script written by a senile old man. And thankfully, one of the great things that AEW really allowed people to do is see great promos again. MJF was the first guy that really got a chance to be like, here's a microphone, go sell tickets, old school promo, has had some of the best ones. His work with Punk is always going to be lauded, and it should be. He does have some promos that I think fall into very like standard, kind of see the same thing time and time again. He delivers those promos very well, but I don't know. It was all the promos on these lists are going to be great.
Yeah.
But there was my reasoning of going like, I love his promos, but I'll put him at number 9 because there may be others who I enjoy the whole body of work a little bit more.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of in the same boat with Foley on my list here. Like when I had Foley on the list immediately because he's one of my favorite promos ever, and a guy like if you give a mic for 10 minutes, he's going to sell you some tickets. And you want to talk about a guy who's a storyteller. Like a lot of my picks, I think, are people who tell stories within promos and really get over character within their promos as well. And Foley is a guy that just nails that.
For me, this is a guy who I didn't watch when he was at his prime, you know. Mainly wasn't alive when he was at his prime. So everything I've seen has been retroactive, but the more and more I've seen of Dusty Rhodes, I'm just captivated by the way he talks. It's a really special thing to have not just a voice that is unique in wrestling, but delivering your voice in a unique way in wrestling. And Dusty Rhodes' promos are completely unique every single time.
One of the other things I think that makes someone a good talker is I believe you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I genuinely believe every single thing you're saying. Dusty talks, and I'm like, oh, you're a human being, and I believe every single word you're saying.
I think I'm going to echo that point quite a lot on this list. Yeah. 3, 2, 1.
Lads, we were so close.
Oh.
Oh, whoa, whoa!
Yeah.
Sweet child of mine.
I thought it might be a bit controversial. I'll put him so low.
Is there a different one? Because you haven't put Steve Austin, so it's like, is there a different wrestler?
No, that is the one.
Shark Boy.
Look, he's fantastic. He's such a good pro. One of the best of all time. The 8th best of all time. Some might call him, you know? But it's just, I don't have the same personal connection to him that I do to a lot of other people on this list.
Fair.
There are some people higher on this list where you'd be like, why are they above Stone Cold? And be like, because I have a stronger emotional connection to them.
Like The Miz.
Like The Miz, who's definitely on my list. But Stone Cold is one of the best talkers of all time, undeniably. So many different, catchphrases that have got over. It literally, the movement of a generation of wrestling is kind of on the back of him just being awesome, and that is partially through in-ring work, being an amazing in-ring worker. But I think it's mostly his physicality, just him being awesome, and his actual body language while he talks, while he walks. Because to me, that's all part of being a talker. It's not just the words you say; it's your physicality as you say them. Stone Cold, again, I believe him when he says those words. I'm like, yep. That's the fucking man right there. Yep. He's awesome.
I mean, speaking of believing words that you say.
Yeah, boy. Listen, if you don't like Eddie Kingston, I don't like you. You want to look at someone who is real? There is no veil in front of Eddie Kingston when he's talking.
Oh, yeah. No one informed him that this is a work.
Yeah. And I love watching Eddie Kingston get fired up. I love angry, motivated Eddie Kingston, like when he shows up on Dynamite and he challenges Cody Rhodes to the TNT title the first time, or when he's, really angry talking to CM Punk on their back and forth on Rampage, set up their match at Full Gear. But there's an earnest feeling in Eddie Kingston when he does, let a lot of those barriers down. And I look at his match with Jericho at Revolution, and he cuts a promo after that about how everybody was really proud of him and everything, and he wants to say that he knew that he could win, but he didn't know that. And all he wanted to do was sink back into the things that he would resort to before and just go and let himself go and not do this. But there's so many people that believe in him now, and that overwhelms him. But damn it means he has to keep fighting. And I watch that and go like, what a pro wrestler.
What I love about MJF is Kenny has got this ability as well, I think, when doing interviews to be able to slip the work in. I'm going to do this in character, but then I will slip in some things here. I'm going to plant some seeds for future things that I'm going to pay off in promos later on. And he is magical at this. There isn't a person on this planet that doesn't get worked by MJF promos because no one really knows which bit is character, which bit is Max, which bit is work, which bit is shoot, because he does it all perfectly and seamlessly.
3, 2, 1.
Oh,
so close!
Dancing around each other.
Yeah, we really are. I'll just quickly talk about Eddie Kingston because you basically said everything I wanted to say. I just believe every single word he says. That man can make you cry when you just go, That's the fucking man right there.
I don't know if there's been a single moment in a promo that I've rewound and laughed at more than when Jericho and Kingston were doing a promo against each other, and Eddie backs Jericho into a chair, is like, I can smell the fear coming off of you. You bitch! Oh, I smell it!
Do you want to talk about Punk?
His body of work speaks for himself.
Yeah.
You know, whether you take the real big famous promos like the Pipe Bomb or anything, I really enjoy a lot of CM Punk's more subdued work because it's the level of detail that he puts in that I really appreciate. Even today, he'll go and do the extra little step of explaining things within the context of a wrestling show, where if he's queuing up something to show like the video package on Raw of him and Drew McIntyre or whatever, he's like, I talked to Gary in the production truck to put this on, so Gary, roll the tape. It's just like that little extra thing that like someone had to do this, and it's not just written in the script that, and this is where I throw to the video package. You know, he thinks out all these things to try and make wrestling make sense, and I really, really appreciate that.
In the 1980s, wrestling promos were more or less variations of this. We're gonna get you, we're gonna go this time, I'm gonna beat you, I'm gonna slam you on the ground, and we're gonna do this. Or it's variations of, well, let me tell you something, brother, we're gonna do this. And it's just lads shout. Every single Road Warriors promo.
I was gonna say, that could have been 7 different guys.
Anyone. But like if Animal is cutting a promo, it's like, we're not gonna slam it on the ground, we're gonna spit on your face, and we're gonna do this. And then Hawk will come in and go, well, we're gonna slam you and we're gonna do this. And then you have Jake Roberts who walks in and is like, I want to talk to you right now, because when we have a match, I will destroy you, and I'm going to see you in that town. I'm going to beat you. And you're like, you are different from every single person, and it's night and day, and it's awesome for it. And there's a reason why a lot of like our generation of wrestlers point to Jake and be like, that's the guy.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, lads, we were close.
So close.
We are. All of us have got very similar answers, but in very different orders. That's fascinating.
I'll just quickly add on Punk, because it's kind of echoing what you just said then, which is, I believe this dude. And for a period of time, he was like my savior of wrestling, because every wrestling promo sucked in WWE. And then this guy was kind of promo. I'm like, oh no, they can be good. It's just everything they're given is bad. And he kind of made me believe in that WWE could be good. I mean, it wasn't, but he made me believe that it could be.
And that's half the battle.
That is half the battle.
I really like Mick Foley's promos. You kind of already mentioned all that, but again, it's that special quality of sounding different. It's a very unconventional voice for wrestling promos. But then when he does it and when he enters that place, especially when he gets very serious, it's one of those people where you see that veil drop, you see the barriers drop, and you go, yes, I believe this person in front of me. It's fantastic. Also, he voices the boulder on Avatar: The Last Airbender, so that me gets so many more points.
The boulder feels conflicted about fighting a young, blind girl.
If you want to talk about talkers and everything, and you make that a very wide range, he was excellent in the later Attitude Era, obviously. But it's the promos where he was like, in 97, right before he broke through, where he was pissed off at having not gotten his shot for like the past 5 years in WCW and everything, where he's going on Raw and just laying into the world. That is my favorite kind of Steve Austin promo.
3, 2, 1.
Oh.
Woo!
Let's wrap up Dusty Chats.
Yes, indeed. Because, as said, before my time and everything, but you want to talk about an iconic promo. One that really cannot be duplicated. This, to me, is the perfect mix of what we were just talking about, where a lot of the 80s promos are very much personality-led. Like, you can't just have another person doing Randy Savage. It just becomes across as an impression. But there are things to learn from a Jake Roberts promo. I think Dusty Rhodes is the mixture of the two, where anybody that tries to do this exact style is going to come across as a Dusty impression. However, there's still so much to learn about being authentic and connecting with an audience through your words like Dusty Rhodes did. Everybody likes to talk about the Hard Times promo, but my goodness, his promos were great all the way through to the end.
Yeah, I mean, like, I've pretty much already said everything I wanted to say about Eddie Kingston in your previous entries because the man right there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my guy. That is my guy.
Sami Zayn. I think this might be maybe slightly controversial. Maybe not everyone would agree with me, especially not at number 5. Because I don't think if people say Sami Zayn, you don't instantly go, oh, one of the best talkers of all time. However, go on this journey with me. I think he is. I think there is an absolute argument that the Bloodline story that happened in 2022 was saved by Sami Zayn being awesome. And it is not just the words that he says. It is his physicality. It is his authenticity. I believe every word he says, whether he's a face or a heel. He is a captivating talker. He is the reason the Bloodline story was what it was. And it is when he goes back to Montreal and he starts yelling in French, whether he's very quiet, whether he's funny, has such a range. And whatever he does, I care what he has to say. And Sami Zayn is, I genuinely believe, one of the best talkers in wrestling history. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Sammy's a f***ing man. 3, 2, 1. Oh my god!
My God.
How have we not matched yet?
Close
That's
again.
crazy.
Mick Foley.
Yeah, you go Mick
Yeah?
Foley, yeah.
Just because we've been there already, and I just want to wrap this bit up. This guy, I think of the people on this list, is my favorite wrestler because, as we've said, what a range. He can do anything on the mic. He can be creepy and a little scary as Mankind. He can be really hardcore and deranged as Cactus Jack, both in a WCW, I'm going to hit myself over the head with a shovel over and over again while cutting a promo, or an ECW where he cuts probably my favorite promos ever, the Kane Dewey promo and all his other great ones. There's another that doesn't have like a name attached to it, but he's cutting a promo on Terry Funk. And then he's one of the funniest wrestlers. His run as commissioner in 2000,
So good.
where he's dicking about with Edge and Christian and Kurt Angle and Al Snow and everybody backstage, is just as valuable to the argument of Mick Foley's talking ability as any of the other promos where he sold tickets. And there are loads of them. He is my favorite wrestler on this list. I adore this man and all the words that he has said.
Rock's pretty good, isn't he?
Yeah, he's all right. I
It has
guess.
been said.
Yeah, I think he's a good talker. I think is what most people would say. I mean, look, there's the reason they call him the most electrifying man in all of entertainment. Like, he has that connection with fans where he can control a crowd wherever he is and whatever he does. And whether he is doing comedy, whether he's doing something serious, whatever spectrum he's on face of heel, Rock can do it. And he does it well every single time. And there are times where people have gone like, we don't want Rock, with the whole Cody situation, we don't want Rock in this, whatever. But then he turns into the final boss and everyone goes, God damn it, Rock's fucking awesome. And he cuts incredible promos while beating up Cody Rhodes. He is a legend of the industry, primarily for his talking ability. He is one of the best talkers ever, and he sold countless tickets across his career. What a talker.
I'm going to just quickly speak on Roddy, because there is a reason why a lot of, again, wrestlers of our generation that will point to Roddy, MJF in particular, will point to Roddy Piper and be like, oh yeah, a lot of what I do is based upon what that man did and the groundwork that he laid. There is a reason why he's one of the more successful wrestlers that went into the acting world. You don't get Hell Comes to Frogtown without Roddy Piper. Man is awesome. And again, it's that storytelling, and it's the way that the Piper's Pit, it's like, yeah, sure, he's interviewing people, but like, I'm more interested to hear what Roddy's got to say about this. And he makes you like, I want to see you fight. I want to see you get in the ring and fight someone.
3, 2, 1.
Oh,
Close, man.
It's
unbelievable.
Still no matches. I've got Punk higher on my list than you guys. I think probably because Punk for me was the guy when I was at like peak wrestling fandom, around that 2011 to 2013 era. It was a bad time, but I was young and stupid. And him for me, that promo ability, that run, I know it's only like 4 weeks, but like that run leading into Money in the Bank, and then the immediate bit afterwards where he's having conversations with Vince McMahon and all that stuff. And then even the stuff with Kevin Nash I thought was pretty good, like in terms of promos, not the story. Don't get those conflated. But he is a guy who, like you were saying, has those extra details, that little bit extra to make you believe every word he's saying. And whether it is the pipe bomb or the sermon in the middle of the Rumble or any number of promos that he's done, that backstage one he did in the feud with MJF, where he just had, blood all over his face after MJF turned on him and stuff like that. So many where you are just captivated by every word that he says. He has a way of just hooking you in and taking you on a journey through words that he's saying. And that is a great talker. That is just a textbook definition of a great talker. And CM Punk makes you believe every time he opens his mouth. In his hands, a microphone is a pipe bomb.
Oh, and I'll just quickly speak on The Rock because you kind of said it was so close again.
Yes.
He's so close to being a match. But this was like my first promo love was The Rock when I became a fan. And he would have been my number 2. But I do think his return and feud with John Cena / The Miz / R-Truth really soured me a little bit on Rock promos, because I think a lot of those promos suck real bad.
It's valid.
When he hits, boy, does this boy hit. He is really, really great. There's a reason why he became like the number 1 guy. In a world where Steve Austin was around, he also became a number 1 guy in this promotion, and it was mostly down to his promo ability. And whether it's running down Billy Gunn, and it's like, well, my name's Billy. It doesn't matter what your name is. A lot of that is just so great. Running down Coachman, running down everyone in the Armageddon Hell in a Cell. He's going to slap pink nipples off of people. He made it work, man. Some of the promos don't feel as great now, like his old Poo-Tang Pie stuff. They're just like, And don't listen to the Pie song.
Don't do that.
Don't listen to it. No, it's a bad
it.
song. Don't listen to it.
Yep.
It's a bad song and a bad time. But when he's on a roll, he's the man.
Paul Heyman. Somehow, I think this name may come up again shortly. Paul Heyman is such an interesting one to talk about because I think most people watching this will be most familiar with what he has done since returning to WWE in 2012, which, even still saying that at one point seemed like would never happen, and you would only have his work before that. However, his work before that would probably still land him on this list.
100%.
Him talking as Paulie Dangerously, as the manager of the Samoan SWAT team and the New Midnight Express and this and that and the other thing, he made his name in the industry on screen as this incredible manager. The Dangerous Alliance has this guy at the helm of it. And as a manager, you'd put him in the top tier all time. I'm sure a lot of people at this point would have him number 1 on that list. But it goes so much deeper than that, because this guy was not only so talented at selling tickets to fans through getting you hyped up for matches, this man was such a silver-tongued devil that he conned an entire locker room of people to go out there and wrestle for basically no money for like 7 years. And that is a talent.
Basically no money. They might not even get it.
What a god this man is. Listen, ECW doesn't happen without this guy being able to spin a web of just, call it lies and truth, and mixing them both and making you believe whatever it is. And then he comes back to WWE and cuts great promos for like the last 20 plus years.
3, 2, 1. Oh my god! We still haven't matched. Oh my goodness me.
God damn it, son. He's higher on my list. Maybe that is showing my age, but it's not just like, I'm actually going to echo something you said earlier. Because sure, you could point to Austin 316 to that, and you can point to the ones he was doing during the invasion, during the heel turn, when he goes deranged Steve Austin is like, I love hugs, and like hugging Vince McMahon and stuff. You could look at 98 through 99 and all of the promos he cut there and all of them being magical, but for me, the one that I love the most is I have to beat you, Rock. I have more than you can possibly imagine. Like, it is, I love him. And I'm like, you're right. I don't know how much you need this. He makes you truly, truly believe. And like, you want to talk about a guy who could come out to the ring, grab a microphone, and every single person in that building will be hanging on his every word. That is Stone Cold Steve Austin between 1998 and 1999. Guys, okay, I'm going to go on record. It's the greatest of all time.
You know, I'm not gonna argue against
And number
it.
2.
That's a total package.
That's the whole package.
Okay, right. I thought you were saying best talker.
No.
I was like, well, you do have one more after that.
No. He's the greatest wrestler of all time.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Now this guy, I almost want to bump down the list because he was too good.
Yeah.
Because he broke WWE.
Yeah.
He broke WWE by being too good at talking, to the point where they thought that because The Rock could go out there and cut an amazing promo every single night, 365 days a year, and he doesn't get a lot of wins, like even in 2000, like Triple H beats him a lot, and he goes through a lot of adversity.
Yeah.
It worked because The Rock was The Rock, and he was bulletproof because of his silver tongue. They thought that applied to everyone. So they tried to make John Cena into The Rock. They tried to make Roman Reigns into The Rock. And let me tell you right now, there's only one Rock. No one else could possibly ever do the job that he has done. And yeah, a lot of his promos from back in the 90s haven't aged terribly well.
Nope.
A lot of the promos he's cut as recently as 2011 haven't aged particularly well.
But in fairness to The Rock, not a lot of things from the late 90s have aged particularly well.
That's true. However, when you're talking about someone who could just read a telephone book and make it into a great Raw segment, it's this guy.
That's because he would read that book and cut a promo on every single person that he was dressing
He'd
up.
call them and cut a promo
yeah.
on them.
Aaron A. Aronson, you Rudy Poo.
Roddy Piper, you guys mentioned earlier, but I had him real high on my list because believability. Again, it's that element of every single word that he says. I'm hooked on it because I believe everything he says. He has a swagger. He has a physicality to it, to the way he talks and the way he moves, where I'm like, you're such a dickhead. And yeah, absolutely right. And it is that believability, I don't think it is recognized enough. People talk about Roddy Piper as being one of the better talkers in wrestling history, but I don't think he's very rarely spoken about as one of the best of all time in terms of a wrestler, right? But I feel like he should be higher on that list. He is underrated, in my opinion, primarily because of that talking ability to get you to believe everything that he says, plus in-ring storytelling on top of that. He's fantastic. But that level of believability that he has is so very rarely replicated in wrestling at all. Like you were saying before with somewhere it's like, I'm doing a wrestling promo. I am scripted to say this thing. Roddy Piper had a way of just making you just break past that facade of I'm a character doing a thing and just going like, I'm a person talking to you. So very rarely replicated and very rarely replicated well. But Roddy Piper is arguably the best person ever to do that specific type of promo. He's f***ing incredible. 3, 2, 1. Yeah! A match! Love that. Oh, well, yeah. Yeah, that's fair, I suppose. Yeah.
You know, sometimes you gotta be by yourself if you're gonna be right. Roddy Piper, the greatest talker in wrestling history. This is another guy where, you know what? Maybe as his career went on, lost a little bit of that because, you know, WCW was a difficult time in 96.
It's difficult for a lot of people.
It was difficult to make sense of a lot of things. You got to cut a promo on another main event match with Hulk Hogan that you're probably not going to win. And so on and so forth. However, talk about the height of a guy talking. And it's a shame that the footage of it is so difficult to come by. But Piper in Portland is still something that people talk about to this day. Because this man was going out there and causing riots. Who does that? He just managed to sell tickets at a rate that may be unmatched from just pure talking. You have other people like Rock and Austin and everything who had bigger popularity at their peak. But in terms of eliciting a response and an emotion from the crowd. I don't know that there has ever been anyone who has done it better than Roddy Piper.
I actually want to piggyback off something that you mentioned earlier. It's not just that Paul Heyman makes the fans believe everything he says, he makes wrestlers believe everything he says, and he is a legit cult leader. He is a cult leader in wrestling, and to be a cult leader, you have to be an incredible talker. Because you got to convince people that you are right and they are right to follow you. And so many people followed this guy, both in the locker room and outside of it as fans. He just sells himself. He sells everything that he owns and makes you want to be involved in it. It's the best ever.
Everything that you said, genuine cult leader behind the scenes, backstage and everything, but also just on screen, Heyman's physicality, his facial expressions, and the way that he puts every single detail, and his cadence, and the way he emphasizes certain words, and the way that he slows down his talking to emphasize a point, is such like a unique way of talking that you just don't see in WWE at all. But his cadence, his way that he just captivates a crowd, the way that he riffs on crowds, like there was a guy that proposed during a promo and then he cut a promo on that guy proposing mid-promo, and the way that he sells everything, you hear him screaming on the outside of matches as a manager, screaming to Brock Lesnar in the ring, screaming at Roman Reigns, like, he's a fucking wizard. Like, he is a wizard of the wrestling industry in every aspect, as a promoter, as a manager, as a commentator, as as an in-ring promo segment guy. An absolute f***ing magician. Unparalleled in wrestling. The greatest of all time. I've been handed the results for the best talkers of all time.
So this will be interesting because you and
pretty
I
close.
having both.
Yeah.
That's a good 20 points
yeah.
there. But Steve Austin is on our list.
And Roddy Piper is like 1 and 2 up here as well.
I think he might be really high on this
list. A lot
list.
of close ones, yeah. Edison Richard just put Bobby Heenan in it.
That's a good point.
Honestly,
it's a good point.
Honestly, good point.
This could have been a top 20.
Yeah.
And even then, there's so many names you'd have missed.
Oh, yeah, 100%. The Miz still wouldn't have been on it.
I got halfway through and I was like, oh, Edge. My favorite ever.
It was honestly when Pete said I didn't put Mox, I was like, I didn't put Mox
Mox.
either. In Danielson.
Yeah. In third place, I wanted to put Danielson as well. In third place, with 24 points, it's The Rock.
Well earned, well earned.
In second place, with 26 points, Roddy Piper. And in first place, with 28 points, it's Paul Heyman.
Well,
That's a pretty good list, I think.
That's my top 3.
Yeah.
Different order. But
Yeah.
you know what?
Rock, Piper,
I'll take it
Heyman.
as being right.
Yeah, sure. Tempest is right. Thank you for watching this episode of TLC, and if you want to see more from us, check out this episode where we rank the worst factions in wrestling history.
should put PMS.
I haven't even thought about TNA. Oh my god! Oh no!
Oh, Pete. Oh, I've thought about TNA.
Oh, I
I can't wait. I can't wait.